All right, so today we're talking about WebEx and specifically WebEx training. This is a piece that's a little bit different than the WebEx meetings and other things and how it works. So what you'll notice is I'm on my main um, WebEx screen for lancst.webex.com. You can't do this from your calendar. This has to be done from this particular page. You can schedule a WebEx meeting, but you can't schedule a WebEx training unless you are at this particular page. So I'm here. You'll see I have my start meeting where I can use a desktop app or a web app. I can schedule a meeting. And down here, I have this WebEx training button or link. I'm going to click that, and you'll notice what it does is open up a WebEx training thing, okay? And now I can host a session or I can schedule a session. I can do an instant session, a hands-on lab, a test lab. There's all kinds of stuff in here that I'm still learning. So we're going to put schedule a session so I can show you the options. First thing you have to do is give it a topic. So I'm just going to call this WebEx training test. There is a password, okay, that's there, but it's not required when you send the link out if you have that set up as your option. Automatically delete session after it ends. You can check if it's going to have over 500 attendees. Send a copy of the attendee invite to me. You can actually require a registration and some other features if you wanted to. That's not something that we're probably going to do as teachers. You can have an entry and exit tone, announce name, or beep, or whatever you want here as your entry and exit tone, the starting time and date, your time zone. Is this single session? Is it recurring? Is it multiple session? And then how long is it going to go for? Okay. And again, so you can do a recurring training where it's every Monday, Wednesday, or every, however you want to set that up. This one here requires attendee registration where you put in a password, maximum number, how many can join. That's if you want to require it. You're setting up an attendance section to it. Automatically approve all registration requests if you're doing a registration. Here's where you can put in invited attendees. If you have people that you want to attend automatically, you know they're coming, you can put that in. Exclude passwords. If you want them to have an account where they must have an account on that service or not, that's not something you check with what we're doing. Invited presenters, because you can have multiple presenters. So let's say you're teaching a class next year and you wanted to invite in your site coach or your ed tech coach as a presenter, you can invite them in and invite them as a presenter where they're able to present stuff. And then here are all of the options that are available inside WebEx training. And you can choose by selecting this if you want them or not. So are you going to allow chat? Are you going to allow file transfer? Are you going to have a video? Will attendees be able to record, send video, see the number of attendees in the attendee list? Can they save, print, annotate? So you can choose what you want to give them. Remember, just like in WebEx meetings, you can make changes. So I'm not going to choose annotate now, but I can let people annotate later. So you can set those up as you're going and save them. You can set up breakout sessions. You can enable a pre-session arrangement where the breakout sessions are set to go, or you can do it when you're in there. So this is automatic. The breakout sessions, there'll be 4, and the number of attendees in each might be like 5, so that when I do a breakout session, it automatically sets it up. Or I can manually assign my breakout sessions, but that requires them to be registered at the time. If I'm going to do it ahead of time, they have to be registered for me to manually set it up. You can manually set it up from within the meeting if you want to say you 4 are going here, you 4 are going here, or you can just automatically say when I do a breakout session, there's going to be 4 groups of 5 or 6 groups of 5, or however you're going to set that up. Okay. You can email. If you want to email an agenda and description, you can do that. And then down here, you can add course material. That's stuff that can actually be downloaded by participants. Okay. And you can add tests in there, and they do have a test library. So if I click add tests, um, cancel, add tests. Here is select from test library, and that would be you building up and making tests ahead of time and adding them in as a template. So you can create tests, add them to a test library, and then add them in if you wanted to assign a test from within here. My personal feeling for now would be probably just to build it in a form and send them the link, or do it through Google Classroom, just because of time and everything else. But that would be up to you. So then you can schedule, start session, or cancel. I'm just going to start this particular session. Oops. Maximum number allowed must be a positive. So I'm going to say that there's 40 people allowed. Like I said, you can go a lot higher than that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to schedule it, but I wanted to just start it, but I scheduled it. So here I'm. All right, so I came into my WebEx right here, since I hit the wrong button. Came into my WebEx, and you can see that I have a WebEx training test. I can view the status. It's at 1:45, so it's already supposed to be going. I'm going to click that and start now. And I've started my WebEx training. It's going to take a second, and you'll notice that it opens up this whole little window here. First thing I want to do is set up my audio using my computer. I'm going to set that up right there, that my audio is going out. I'm going to invite in a participant here real quick. You can see what it looks like with a participant. And now you'll notice that this looks a little different than a WebEx meeting. Okay, the screen looks a little bit different. Everything's a little bit different. I can invite people right in. Here's my audio options. So again, use a phone, or pull in from your computer. I'm using computer audio, and you can change that if you wanted to use your phone or your computer audio. You can invite and remind people in from email, from phone, or send them a reminder. If they were pre-invited, you can send them that reminder. Here's your share application option. So I can share Google Chrome, movies and TV, or look at other applications that are there. So I can share pretty much any application that I have. I want to share an application out. Let's get back to where we were. So here we are. So you'll notice I have a participant in here now. Here's where my participant list shows up, right over here. And I have some options with the participant. I can mute them. If they are muted, they cannot unmute themselves. Okay. So this gives you a little more control. I can mute all or unmute all. I can unmute or mute one person. If I mute all, that means they can't go through and click like in a meetings where they can click and say unmute me. They don't have that option. Only you as the host have that option to mute or unmute someone. Okay. I can assign them privileges, just like I did in meetings, whether or not they have the option to control features, whether or not they can chat with attendees or panelists or hosts, or whoever they see, whether they can see certain things, the number of attendees, whether they can save a document, print a document, annotate a document. Okay. But just like in the other one, I can, if I'm sharing something, I can have them annotate. Now, one of the cool things, each attendee has these little features here: a raise hand, a green checkbox, a red no, a go slower, a go faster, or put up an emoji for you. Okay, so they have those options to do that. So I can clearly say, oh, does anyone have a question? And if they wanted to raise their hand, that would show up right here, that Madeline has a question. It pops up right here. You see, oh, there's a question. Okay. And I can then come here, unmute her so that she was able to ask her question. Okay. And then I can clear that off by hitting this eraser button, and it clears off that raised hand. So then I clear it off. We're good to go. Then they also have the yes and no. So I could say, is this clear to everyone? And they might hit the green yes check. And I see that right there, that they hit the green check. If you have more than one participant, when I come in here, it'll show you how many said yes, how many said no. So you can say, how many of you get it? Do you get this? And then you can say 5 yeses, 10 no's. Okay, they're not getting it. I got to keep going. And again, I can clear those at any point. So it's a great check for understanding, just quick little yes and no. They also have the go slower. If they were to hit that, that lets you know as the teacher, you need to, oh, I need to slow down. Someone's having difficulty keeping up. Or they could say, go faster. This is, I'm going too slow. So those things clear off. Or they can just throw up an emoji saying like, I need coffee. They have a little coffee emoji and they can put up that little emoji right there. And again, you can clear those off. So that's a little bit of the communication feature that you have in there, is that they can throw those things up. Now, you also have the chat feature down here. If you have them, the ability for them to send a chat, okay, I can send a chat to all participants. So I could say, does everyone understand how to divide fractions? And I can send that out. That chat is going to all participants. The participants can actually respond, again, depending upon the setup, whether or not they can respond just to me or to everybody. And you'll see if they put up a response like yes or no. And here it's to host privately. It's been a while, but maybe, and you can see that pop up there. Okay. And now I can actually share. So if I click this and share, I can share like Google Chrome, click share, and it will then put out a Google Chrome browser. And now I have all those same options that I had when I had when I talked about the share tools. I can assign privileges. I can allow someone to annotate all attendees or just Madeline here. I can open that up so she has annotation rights and she can then write something on the screen. She's got the annotation tools. You can see she's marking it up right there. And at any time, I can come in here and uncheck that person from annotating so they can't annotate. And remember that I also have the eraser tool to clear all annotations. So it's got some similar features to what WebEx meetings, but some different ones in that I have the more polling, more control, especially over the mute and unmute, because it's a permanent. If I mute you, it's a permanent. I have to unmute you to be able to talk. Again, you'll notice this share thing. I can share a file, which includes video, okay, from my computer, share a desktop, and that would be a monitor, one or two. I can share an application. I can share multimedia. I can share a web browser. I can share my entire session window. So I've got all these share options here. I can assign those privileges, make someone a presenter, allowing someone to annotate. Um, I can unmute me or mute me. That's up here. My audio, which we had already set up, and your participants, your participant lists with the emojis and everything shows up there, your chat window. And again, you can move those. Those are floating windows, whether or not you want to record. Remember, when you start recording, that does show up for attendees that it's being recorded. And that's if the option is there. And then I have a question and answer. The attendees can do a Q&A in their thing. They have a Q&A option, and they can actually ask you questions with that Q&A. So that Q&A is for attendees. They can type in and ask you a question that pops up, okay, where they can ask you something, and that'll pop up in the Q&A option. You'll notice that it turned red right there. What are some good things happening right now? She asked the question. So that's the Q&A. Polling is just like in the other one, where I can create a multiple choice poll. I talked about that in the sharing feature. You can set up polling ahead of time. Someone asked me that. Yes, there is a place to open a poll that you have saved, so you can save one ahead of time, create a new poll and save it, and then pull it up at any time in your training. So if you want to set them up ahead of time, you can do that if you don't like typing while it's going. Um, and I can invite and remind people in here. Um, the one feature, let me stop sharing here and come back over here. We have breakout rooms. So I can actually do breakout rooms from within here where I open up a breakout session. And you'll see down here, I get a breakout session and I can do assignments, breakout assignments, who goes where, or I can just do it automatically that they get sent to this many people in this many sessions and say, okay, and it'll pull them into a separate room. Let me go ahead and do one real quick so you can see. I'm going to do an automatic breakout room with breakout sessions of 20 or 4 and however many people go there and say okay. And now Madeline has been pulled into a different uh, room. And you'll see here breakout session 1 has a person. If there were more people, they'd all be assigned to different rooms. And as the host, I can actually go join that breakout room. So now I'm in the breakout room and my audio is here in this room as well. I've moved it over here. I'm in the breakout room talking to those people. And then I can say, hey, how's it going? You're supposed to be doing this. How's everything going? I can talk to them. I can check on them. And then I can leave the breakout session, come back to the main room, make sure everything's good here. And I can go into the next breakout session and join them and so on. Okay. And then whenever I'm done, I can end the breakout session and they would be pulled back into. I think they have to end on their screen as well or agree that they're ending the breakout session. And then they pull back into the main attendee up here. Okay. So you can kind of see the breakout session option gives you some different features that you can create and have different groups going on. Um, under your participant thing, you have the same things. You can unmute all, mute everybody, mute on entry so they can't talk when they first come in, and assign privileges. And all of your share options are up here as well if you'd rather use them from that feature. Okay, and your poll questions are here as well. Open and share, open chat are all up there in the top features. And remember that you can close any of those little windows as well if they become overbearing. You can close them up and exit them at any time. Okay, so that they get off there, and you just click on chat and it opens back up. Participants open it back up because I know sometimes it gets too much. It's like tab buildup in Google where there's too many things to see. So you might want to close those up and deal with whatever windows you want open. Okay. So that's kind of WebEx training. It does look a little different. It's got some different features. Let me try sharing something real quick. Share a Google Chrome, share, which then pops up, and I have the other share tools. And do I have now a whiteboard? So once you're sharing, you can open up a new whiteboard and have the whiteboard option going once you have the share window open. So you have to share something first, and then you have the whiteboard. And again, remember this looks different on different devices, depending upon if I'm in my desktop app or my web app or whatever, I might see it different. I believe if you're in the web app, you'll see the whiteboard as an automatic share feature. So depends on which one you're using. And that's one of the tricks when I'm doing these trainings is it depends on which one I'm doing. And you can see up here that I have multiple pages, so I can share another new whiteboard out and do another new one. And now I've got, did it open the second one? Yeah. So now I've got inside my share here whiteboard, you'll notice I've got 3 different whiteboards that are running and I can go back and forth to them and I can close them up. But again, that allows you to annotate and write and do all that different stuff. So the whiteboards are in this one as well. All right, so that is, and here's everything I have open. Once I closed up that share window, I have whiteboard. I can close them and save them. Um, and I have my session info and my quick start share application and everything there. So all these features are built in here. It does look a little different. That is kind of how WebEx Training works and what it can do for you. The main difference there, like I said, is the breakout rooms and having these yes and no raise hand features that are a little bit more readily available to the students. Hopefully that helps you out, and good luck with WebEx Training.